So you were looking for something to listen to, and you ended up here. What's up? My name is Ethan, and I'm the host of the show. Over the past 25 years, I've had a wild group of people walk through my tattoo shop and tell me some of the craziest stories you would never hear unless you were sitting in that chair. I've invited a few of these maniacs to join me and talk about everything, anything, and nothing. Whether it's about UFOs, aliens, food, conspiracies, or whatever, you're sure to be entertained and probably get a laugh out of it. Or you're going to think we're a bunch of nut jobs and never come back again. Either way, you're here with us now, so sit back, relax, hit cruise control, and enjoy the ride. Welcome to the Tat and Chat Podcast. Welcome to the Tat and Chat Podcast. Here I am with my good friend, Josh. And myself, Ethan, and E-Town's over there doing the video as usual. And today we have a guest, an author, a dental surgeon, I believe. And his name is Terry Adair, DDS, and oral and maxillofacial radiology, author and founder of the Fusion Star Project. His work explores the role of energy as the fundamental limiting factor of life, intelligence, and advanced civilization. He is the author of Where Are the Little Green Men? The Adair Hypothesis, which reframes the search for extraterrestrial life through the lens of thermodynamics, energy availability, and the constraints required for civilizations to emerge and persist. So on the phone, we have Terry Adair. Terry, how you doing?
Ethan, thank you very much for that very nice introduction. I really appreciate that. I'm doing great.
Yeah,
I'm in Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe. What's that time frame right now?
The Pacific time zone. Lake Tahoe is right on the border of California and Nevada, so we're in the Pacific time zone.
Oh, so you're like 4 o'clock, right around dinner time.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you.
Excited about this one.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff on this podcast. The original idea was I'm going to talk about, I own a tattoo shop and I'm in a professional band and I do all sorts of crazy things. I thought, hey, I want to do a podcast, talk to all my customers while I'm tattooing, and it didn't really work out that way. I ended up being one of my guys I tattooed, which is Josh, is just as much of a maniac as I am, and he just has a really great way of communicating. So we started this podcast, and now it's turned into, we just talked to all sorts of people about crazy things and things that they're doing. And then we kind of fill their head full of our insane stuff. So welcome to the podcast, Terry.
Thank you for having me. And I believe that what we're going to discuss today is going to be very enlightening and illuminating for you and for your audience. Maybe a little bit different take on some of the things you've heard before. And the way you described it is awesome. You said it perfectly using a lot of big scientific terms. And the key word that you put in there is energy. And that's what we're going to focus on today. And we're going to discuss energy in a way that most of us aren't familiar talking about it. Not getting all fancy and technical, but just trying to bring it down to earth for people to get a better grasp on.
Yeah, I read the book, and I was going to share it with Josh, but it took forever to come in. I didn't get it on time, and I was going to give it to him to check out.
Oh, bummer.
But he got to do some research on it and stuff, and we watched. He watched some of your videos and stuff, talking about it, breaking down the book and stuff. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So, obviously, after reading the book, you have a thing for energy.
I do have a thing for it. And you got that word so close. Even I stumble on it. Oral and maxillofacial. Not easy to say.
Oh yeah. What was yeah.
So I'm
yeah.
a radiologist. And you're right that I'm a dentist and I'm a specialist in dental radiology. So my job is to read CT scans. So like a regular radiologist that many of you had experience with, you get some sort of imaging, and then sometime later a report comes back from a radiologist. You never see the radiologist. That's what I do in dentistry.
Yep.
So I'm an oral and maxillofacial radiologist.
So I have a question for you. So when you go in, you bring your kids in, and they got to have like a cavity filled or something like that. You take a picture, and then they see the teeth, like, okay, we got to do this right here, and we got to fix this tooth over here too. And you're like, okay, cool. So we're going to do one at a time. So your kid goes in, fix the tooth, and like, we'll set you up an appointment for 2 weeks. You go back in 2 weeks, and you're like, let's take more pictures. Like, Come on, guy. What are you doing? We just took pictures.
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to try to reassure you and your audience that dental radiographs and medical radiographs are not harmful to people in the way we think they are. That doesn't excuse taking unnecessary images. The biggest problem is cost. You're not gonna get hurt from them. The actual X-ray energy doses that are used today in modern radiology are so low, they're inconsequential. You're just not going to. They're not harmful. So that's the good news. But again, there's no reason to take them needlessly. If you're imaging the same area you did 2 or 3 weeks before, I agree with you. That's not cool, but it's not harmful either.
Yeah, my sister-in-law used to work in radiology, and she did it for years. She got all these extra degrees in the hospital she worked at. We're in northern New York. She used to work at Potsdam Hospital, and And she ended up, she always wanted to be a state trooper. And when she was, I think the cutoff's 30 years old to be a trooper. She applied a long time ago, and I think she was 29. And they call her and say, hey, you want to be a trooper? So she left radiology, and now she's a BCI investigator for the state police. So
no kidding. What a great career trajectory that is.
Yeah, total trade, totally.
Now she jacks up people's teeth.
No, she investigates. She's an investigator. So yeah, but
there you go.
But yeah, so I read the book, and I was checking out some of the stuff, and you know, if you want, before I botch this up, you know, you can break it down and stuff. And, you know, when I read the title, Where Are All the Little Green Men? I mean, me and Josh are really into aliens and all this crazy stuff. And I got to this, I'm like,
that's awesome.
And then I'm like, he doesn't believe in aliens. No.
Let me first of all say, there's nothing more I'd like than a flying saucer to land in my backyard. Well, I'd love that more than anybody. So it's not a matter of disbelief. Oh, go ahead.
It's a matter of hope or wish.
Of course, yeah. And we're gonna break that down. We're gonna make it realistic for people and give them an idea. And my energy standpoint did not come from taking on the Fermi paradox. Mine came from what does it not only take to create a civilization, but to maintain it.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking that, okay, we started on a barren, rocky, sterile planet. Planets do not come preloaded with little green men. That's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
Planets are created in a violent demolition derby of all these colliding rocks and masses and everything, accreting around a also newly forming star. So the planets are forming basically at the same time that the star itself is forming. And so once that happens, you probably know that there's all of these collisions, and when there's a big collision, it basically liquefies the entire planet again. It's just molten over and over and over again. In fact, our own early Earth was hit by a planet we now call Theia that eventually became our moon.
Yeah.
And so all of these collisions are so violent. There's nothing on a barren, rocky new planet. So there's no life at all in there. So along with the concept of evolution, and, you know, a lot of this stuff is somewhat speculation, but it's more or less agreed on by the scientific community. Evolution comes after abiogenesis. That's what we believe is the primitive start of life just from organic molecules. Now, that's a big leap right there in itself. Okay, but that's what is accepted in the scientific community, that not only did we start with simple organic molecules joining together into more complex molecular structures that eventually became self-replicating, enclosed in membranes, and you guys probably already know the rest of the story. And that's when evolution took place. So all of that is founded on abiogenesis in a sterile, rocky planet.
So where do you fall into the mix with religion and God and creation?
Yeah, thank you for talking about that. I don't really need to add my own take on it and take away from other people's experience. My book supports either way you look at it.
Yeah. And
here's the thing. You have to have energy, and we're going to get into that in a shocking, I believe, a surprising imagery that I'm going to present you and your audience about energy itself. And so whether we started through creationism or abiogenesis, wherever we started, you have to have energy.
Yeah.
If without energy, not even a handshake happens in the universe without exchange of energy. And planets don't come with energy. That's what everybody, this shocks me. I am not an astrobiologist or a cosmologist. I'm a dentist.
Yeah.
But everybody skipped over the obvious thing. In science fiction movies, energy is assumed. You have these little spaceships flying around. And they may discuss warp drives and plasma drives and stuff like that, but you don't know any more about it than that, right?
Yeah.
They jump over what does it take to build a civilization. You don't go from a campfire, I'm spoiling the story already a little bit, you don't go from a campfire to a plasma drive.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. You can't skip everything in between. And there's two things. There's an energetic ladder that must be climbed for every civilization. There's no skipping these steps. And once they lay it out, you say, oh man, how come nobody thought of this before? Once they lay out the energy ladder, it's going to become obvious to people. But everyone just assumes that there's an abundant amount of energy. There's not, people. Planets don't come with energy, except two small exceptions. The energy that a planet comes with is its own internal heat, because all those rocks that are colliding, right, and it's molten for a long time, for hundreds of millions of years, that heat is retained.
Yeah.
But eventually that heat will run out. You know what keeps our planet hot? Uranium, thorium, potassium. These radioactive elements in our crust is what helps keep the dynamo going inside.
If you ask my dad, he'll say... If you ask my dad, he'll say it's leaving the door open in the winter is what keeps outside warm. But
you know what? Every dad says that. What are you trying to do? Heat all of New York?
Close the door. Yeah, exactly. Were you raised in a barn?
Yeah, exactly. Dads are famous for that. So you're exactly right. So that's where the internal heat comes from. So, but we can use that uranium, thorium later in our civilization like we do now. We use it, still we use the heat. We split molecules, right? We split other atoms.
Yeah.
Because you have all these free neutrons bombarding each other, and they create heat. And a lot of people may not know, when you see those big towers around a nuclear facility, that's not the reactor, that's the cooling tower.
Yeah.
Energy is generated by boiling water and turning a steam turbine. That sounds kind of primitive, but that's how we use nuclear fission. And eventually nuclear fusion will do the same thing. You take that heat that's generated, you boil water, you turn the turbine, that's what generates your electricity. And again, I'm jumping ahead of the energy daughter a little bit, but you're starting to grasp that nothing happens at all without energy. And there's two energy trajectories in my story. One is life doesn't even begin without energy. Everyone knows when you heat something up, more reactions occur. So heat is the universal molecular catalyst. But there are other catalysts too. In the hydrothermal vents is where it's thought that the primitive life originated. And it takes energy to create molecular activity. So molecules in our life is based on carbon. We won't have time for this today, and I'd love to talk more about this because there's so many rabbit holes I could go down.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this for you and your audience. When we find life on another planet, whether it's simple bacteria or more advanced life forms, they will necessarily be carbon-based, especially advanced life forms.
And like, haven't we already started discovering like microorganisms on
yeah, there you go.
planets?
Thank you very much. That right there supports strongly my evidence. So when we have found these advanced organic molecules in comets, even on the moon, etc., they're carbon-based. That's exactly right. So that right there shows us it just inherently that's what the universe prefers. And it's not for anything, hey, we're biased against silicon. No. Carbon is a better molecule. And again, we don't have the time to discuss why that's true. It just simply is true. Yeah. It's just the preferred element for life. So once these molecules start taking off and start forming, you need some sort of gradient, whether it's a temperature gradient, thermal gradient, whether it's a acid-base environment, whether it's a proton gradient. You need something, your planet has to provide something. And minerals do also serve as catalysts. So minerals are in our primitive soil. And so that's where life takes off. Once you then get self-replicating molecules in the form of RNA and DNA, it continues to require energy to make life happen. And we smolder along as simple-celled organisms for 2 billion years before complex molecules. So you have to have a surplus of energy to start exploring genetically with different ideas. DNA does not have the goal, let's make intelligence, let's make vision, let's make wings, let's make arms and legs. Those are incremental evolutions over hundreds of millions of years. And now here is one of 2 breaking points in my story. And this is essential. You guys are going to look at this completely differently than I think people have in the past. Photosynthesis. You're thinking photosynthesis, yeah, trees do it everywhere. It's the most remarkable and important chemical equation on our planet. Get this, carbon dioxide plus water plus light from our sun and a little bit of molecular magic makes the tree. So people have, this is a misunderstanding of how this works. People, you may have heard that carbon dioxide is plant food. No, it is the plant.
Yeah.
The tree that you see is atmospheric CO2. The apple, that crunchy apple you bite into, it is CO2. It's atmospheric CO2. That sweetness, the sugar, it's the glucose, the fructose that's made from our atmospheric CO2. The rose that you smell, its actual perfume is made from molecular atmospheric CO2. That's amazing. So what you see, everything green, came from atmospheric CO2 and water combined with sunlight in the magic of the chlorophyll, right? The chloroplast. So the chloroplast then starts creating surplus energy, and then life really took off. And we know that all of this ancient small phytoplankton began in the ocean, taking hundreds of millions of years for it to creep onto land. Now it has a whole new thing to start to confront, dryness, and the sun is more intense. And so slowly evolution prepared plant life to take over. The soil we see comes from plant life. It was rocky and barren. We had land, barren land. What we see when we drive around is the result of 4 billion years of evolution, which is mind-boggling. So the Earth didn't have any of this greenery. It started in the ocean and slowly crept out onto land. And it took many, pardon me?
I was going to ask you, so you're a dental surgeon. How do you know so much about this stuff? Is this just a hobby you've learned, or did you go to school for this stuff?
Yeah. I'm the most boring guy in the room. I don't get invited to parties. I stay home and study this stuff.
So this is all self-taught.
No, because that's a good question. Dentistry is a profession completely grounded in science. It's a biological and physical sciences profession. And so rather than forgetting all that stuff, I remembered it. Yeah. So most dentists have, I'm not saying things that people probably haven't got taught over their lifetime. I have synthesized this into an idea, the Adair Hypothesis that we're going to get to, that people haven't, they just sort of skipped over it because it's not interesting to people, or they haven't seen the tie-in in a way that I have. Well, so that's where it all came from.
Yeah, when I was reading your book, I was like, okay, so I felt like I was in a college lecture or something like that, and the guy was teaching me stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm learning about energy. I'm learning about coal. I'm learning about like fossil fuels. I'm learning about everything. And so as I'm reading the book, I'm like, okay, cool. And I just want to get to this real quick. The Fusion Star Project. What is the Fusion Star Project? Everything is energy based. The book is obviously energy based. So what is the Fusion Star Project? And this is you're the founder of this, right?
That. Yeah,
you're the founder.
I'm the founder of it. And the Fusion Star Project is actually more important to me than my book. I want people to read my book because it's interesting and it answers the Fermi paradox, and I'm going to get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Where is everybody? It answers that. But the Fusion Star Project is a nonprofit initiative that I've started for energy literacy and education and energy policy. That's what I'm interested in. It's not political. It's just based on physics. Where do we go for a continued, ongoing, thriving, and flourishing humanity. Not just for us. I don't want to center ourselves on the United States. Obviously, I'm biased. I love the United States. But do you know that 1/4 of the world's population, or about 2 billion people, have either zero or low access to daily electricity? Some people use less electricity, literally, in a year than our refrigerator uses. It's amazing. So that's not a technology issue. That's pure policy. That's all it is. It's entirely policy. It's not. We have technology to take, believe it or not, electricity anywhere in the world, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in this coal, oil, and gas. You guys are going to be shocked by what I'm going to tell you soon. You're going to be shocked by our energy demand. It's going to run out, and we have to prepare for that. I'm not Greta Thunberg saying the sky is falling and tomorrow the world's going to come down. It's not. But there is an expiration for all that stuff in the ground.
Well, it's funny interesting when I was reading the book and you were talking about how people, cut down trees until they wiped out whole forests and then they had to stop doing it.
There you go.
And then they had to discover coal. And, and as every new source of energy that we find, we're sucking up oil out of the earth and stuff and natural gas. But I mean, at what point, with how many people are here, at what point is it just not going to produce anymore? I mean, we can only squeeze so much juice.
Squeeze it so much,
from that,
and we're going to get there. You're going to love this next part of the story, which is one of the two breaking points in the book.
Yeah.
So photosynthesis gave us all our forest, gave us all our plant life. But what life didn't figure out is how to digest the trees and the plant matter.
Yep.
And that piled up for hundreds of millions of years and got compressed more and more because it wasn't decaying. And that matter, that biomass, over hundreds of millions of years became coal. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Mother Nature gave that to us, and geology gave that to us. All that photosynthesis. If you do not have a way to harvest flux from your star, your planet will never, ever become advanced. That is a prerequisite. And anyone who wants to debate that, this is a bit of a new idea in science. I will debate that. Planets don't come, as I've already shown, they don't come with an energy source. You must accumulate it. Solar collectors from plants gave us the coal. And then the phytoplankton in the ocean, similar thing, when it died, it settled in the bottom of the ocean. And all of those organic molecules, we can't comprehend hundreds of millions and billions of years. Our minds are not equipped for it. But over that scale of time, that's what gave us oil.
So so when I was reading your book, it kind of got through it, and like as you're laying it all out, and obviously it's energy based. But where are the little green men? Suggesting that as you're breaking down in the book, it's saying that we're just an anomaly. That like it's basically anomaly after anomaly after anomaly.
Yes.
That led to us. And so,
right.
So when I was reading, I was thinking, I was like, okay, I get it, so the idea is, as much as you hope and wish there was a UFO in your backyard or little green men or however you want to put it, coming there, it just feels so impossible. This, like the fact that it happened here, all these things had to happen at this time and that time, that the odds of it happening elsewhere are just next to impossible.
Well, the New York Knicks last night had a 0.2% chance of coming back and winning the game, and they won it. So I'm just saying.
That right there proves one of my points, and I love that you said that. You're exactly right. So, even big numbers can get broken down, and that's kind of how I'm approaching this. Yes.
How many planets are there, or how many galaxies are there in the universe right now? You know what I mean? Like,
see, that's the whole thing. If people aren't familiar, thank you for bringing that up. If people aren't familiar with the Fermi paradox, we all have that same paradox. We don't need Fermi to tell us that. We look out and see thousands and thousands of stars. In our own minds, we already have that same imagination. Just the sheer number says there must be other civilizations out there. That's the paradox. We haven't seen them to the degree. what I'm saying, this is important. I'm not discounting anyone else's experience that they may have had, not even at all. And that's possible. I've had my own experience, and it's not important for me to share that. I'm not discounting any of that at all, because the numbers are staggering. 2 trillion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars, each with potentially multiple planets. So the numbers are quite staggering. And so probably from a scientific standard, this is the bar that we need to demonstrate advanced civilization. It's probably first going to come from what are called technosignatures that we're going to look out, and we have been for 50 years or more already, 60 years. We're going to look out and train our radio telescopes, our infrared telescopes or whatever into the surrounding galaxy, the Milky Way, and some signal will come to us that we determine, hey, this is not natural signal. This is coming from some other intelligent source. You see what I'm saying? That's probably going to be our first. And I'll be thrilled with that, because forget the gigantic expanse that you have to travel, blank light years to get someplace else, right? That's obviously its own issue. But just getting back to what does it take for civilization to send out radio signals? We've been doing it for about 120 years now, maybe 140 years.
Well, that's always scared the crap out of me. You know what I mean? Because I always look at it like, okay, I love it. I'm in the woods. Okay, I'm camping. Okay,
no, that's a scary place to be.
Close your goddamn cooler. Put the food in the car. Don't be eating chips in the middle of the night, because you don't want those critters and those bears and whatever the hell's out there to come to your thing. So be as quiet as you can, or be as intimidating as you can, so that way they don't mess with you. And we're sending all this stuff out into space, and it's funny because
telling people we're here. Yes.
Well, I think it's insanity, and I'm like, how are these really smart guys doing this comfortably, saying, okay, we're gonna tell, we know all the crazy stories the dreamers come up with, right? Let's put a signal out there to let them know that we're here. We're like a fish, or we're like a worm on a hook, right? Potentially.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Yes.
Terry, I'm sure you don't know this, because I don't know how much you listen to the podcast, but I've said this on here several times. I'm not worried about that, because I think about it like, if aliens did visit our planet, what are the chances they're coming here with destruction in mind? I think that if somebody visited here, they'd be exploratory. Or I want to meet you.
They're curious. They're 100%. They're curious.
But what if
I agree with that?
But what if they're not coming here? What if they're already here? What if it's kind of like you're at a concert and then a mosh pit breaks out and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to be part of the mosh pit. You kind of scoot to the edge. You still want to see the show, but you don't want to be in the pit. So you kind of dodge it and stuff, and you avoid everybody, and you see the big maniac, you hide behind the other maniac that's in front of you. What if it's like that? We've all gone, we all know what hunting is. You go out there and you have a duck call, wah, 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 and you try to reel the ducks in, and if they get it, if you're not good at it, they're like, oh shit, I'm not going over there. I don't trust that call. It doesn't sound right. So to me, it's like, so I look at it like, I'm like, okay, so let's say aliens are out there, right? And let's say this did all happen, or you're absolutely right. And I mean, I think everything is sound that you're saying and what's happening here. And I want to hear more of the story, but I want to kind of get this out there. Is what if they're already here? I mean, what if there are parts of the Earth that we just haven't seen or explored, or what if they've been here so much longer than us? They dodged the cataclysms, they've avoided stuff, and they are utilizing these resources. And maybe they have figured out other forms, you were talking about fusion and fission and all the nuclear, options for traveling and all this stuff. And but what if they don't even leave? What if the farthest they've gone is the moon? What if they don't even really leave the planet? They just have a technology and been here for a long time. There's this chance that, that may, I mean, we know a lot of stuff, but I mean, if something wants to hide from you and they're better at it than you are, they can hide from you.
Well,
let me add to that. I appreciate you bringing that up. Oh, go ahead. You go.
I just wanted to throw this in. I believe in aliens, and it'd be great if we found them. But I so agree with this, and I found this today. I won't tell you who shared it on YouTube because some people might not like him. But I was listening to this guy today, and he's like, you see all these videos of what people say are aliens, like these lights, they're zipping around in the sky, they're up, down, left, right, and they're just moving so fast, and we're like, oh, humans can't do this, so it has to be alien. And then he says, why the hell are aliens doing that? And I'm like, oh my, that's the first time I've actually thought of that. I'm like, huh, he's right. He's like, they're like what, teenagers that they just got their permit and they're out there driving this spaceship. Like that.
Yeah,
seems...
the mothership is out. Mothership is somewhere out in the distance, and they're going to send the kids to actually explore the Earth, right? So you got to go out there, like you said. Here's your permit. Go out and fly the Jetson mobile around Earth, and so.
Yeah, just go down there, go in the backyard, screw around. You wreck something, it's not going to be a big deal. No one's going to notice.
Yeah,
so as unbelievable as it sounds, it seems like it's probably more our government or someone else's, and we're just testing it to see what it can actually do. And that makes more sense. I'm like, I never thought of it that way, but
the government angle makes sense, but there's still a chance that they could, whatever these potential beings are, whether they're aliens or they're still alien to us. Like, what if they are from here? What if the hole in the center of the Earth is real? What if the ice wall is real? I'm not going to get into flat Earth. I don't really believe in flat Earth stuff. However, like I have never seen anything, the Earth or anything other than what people show me in pictures. I've never been up there to look down and say, oh, this is what's happening. So really, I only know what I've been told. And if it was 2,000 years ago, and where we might be, the Bible would be all I know. And God created the earth in 7 days, and His Son Jesus came down. And if it was even longer, 10,000 years ago, we'd be the Mayans and worshiping sun gods and having calendars and so like, what if these things, all these things line up? What if they're just like, oh shit, these guys are crazy, let's step back and watch from afar? So like, what if they're already here? What if there is a technological
they are using that a little bit,
and they are using these resources?
Yeah, let me add to that a little bit to kind of captivate and to let you and your audience a little bit. I've already speculated this, as you heard me say earlier, that almost certainly, almost necessarily, alien life form will be carbon. And again, I won't go into the details because that takes a little bit longer. But it's almost necessarily going to be. And I'm going to discount silicon right away because that's what it's thrown out. Star Trek said this 50 years ago. They created these silicon life forms. Silicon dioxide is quartz. It's a rock. Carbon is the chemistry of flexibility, and not just bendy, because obviously bendy is important, but silicon is the chemistry of permanence. When it reacts with oxygen, and you can't have advanced civilization without oxygen, it becomes a rock. So believe me, life is not based on silicon. And here's another thing to counter that I've never heard anybody else say. We already have a 4 billion year experiment going on, and there are no forms of life created with silicon. Silicon and carbon don't compete. Silicon dwarfs the amount of carbon in our crust already. They're not competing. So if silicon was a possibility for life, we already would have seen it over 4 billion years, and we haven't. So I'm going to add to the idea of what you just said. I believe an advanced civilization will be, get ready for this, shockingly like us. It almost has to be. You must be able to manipulate your environment in very exquisite detail. You can't create advanced technology without the ability to do that. And you have to have very, very good vision. A similar visual system that we have. Lots of different visual systems evolved. I know that the creationists loved, the eye is too complex to have just evolved. Well, there's not just one eye. Which eye are you talking about? There are dozens of visual systems. Ours is one of them. And it evolved incrementally, again, over spances of time. We're just not equipped to understand. And so I believe, I'm not discounting or saying it is, that there could be other alien life forms that are basically like us. I'm telling you, it's going to be shockingly, a surprise when we actually see that, how similar they are.
What do you think
they
about,
have to be.
What do you think about all this disclosure stuff? Do you think, was it Project Bluebeam where they were going to fake some big revelation of like aliens and all this stuff? Or like, I mean, it's getting kind of crazy right now. There are some places where they're saying that they've admitted to seeing like 4 different types of aliens, you know, like the bug ones, the grays everybody kind of knows about, then the reptilians, and then I think the Nordic ones that are tall, they have blonde hair.
They look just like us, basically,
but they're big.
Bigger.
Like, so are they feeding?
Yeah.
Are they feeding in? So is it Project Bluebeam where they're going to do the fake thing? So is this all part of it? Like, they've been saying it for 10 years. They're going to do this thing and they're going to tell everybody aliens and UFOs are real, but it's fake. Don't listen to them. And so like now all this stuff's coming out, right? And they're saying it, and I'm like, holy shit! Like I'm like, okay. So either they're saying it, and it's real, and I'm like, holy shit, or they're right. They are just saying this stuff because, you know, people aren't as religious anymore. People don't have faith in anything. It seems like we're just lost as a species almost at times. Not everybody, but I mean, we're so split and divided, and like they need to, you know, if there is some sort of like secret new world order government controlling everything, you know, is this stuff real, or like, or what we hear, are we just watching a show? You know what I mean? Like, is this stuff? So how does that fit into you and what you have going on?
Yeah, the answer to that is that no advanced civilization can ever emerge without an abundant, dense, readily accessible, transportable energy. That's a no-go. Let me give you an idea about this.
So real quick, what you're saying is our government's lying to us. They don't lie to us, Terry. They always tell us honestly. They always honestly tell us the truth. So, you know, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with this. I'm just kidding. You can continue. You think I had to drop that in there.
So most people, depending on where you live, and maybe you guys have seen this, or certainly your audience where you are, so geographically where you are in the country, or if you've traveled a lot, most people have experienced pulling up to a train crossing. The arms are coming down, the lights are flashing, the bells are clanging, and the train clink, clink, clink slowly by. You just pull up, you're in a hurry to go someplace, and it's a coal train. And you know, this is a mile or a mile and a half long, right? Clank, 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 clank. And you're sitting there waiting for the coal train to pass. That's frustrating, right? It's aggravating. It's a mile or a mile and a half long, just hundreds of cars. So let me give you an idea about how much fossil fuel equivalent, so the equivalent of coal, oil, and gas, has been burned since the 1800s. Your coal train will reach from Earth to the sun, 93 million miles. That's how much fossil fuel equivalent we've burned in coal to create what you see. The hospitals, the schools, the roads, the bridges, the cars, the artificial intelligence, the computing, spaceships, all of that has consumed a 93 million mile coal train.
Isn't that crazy? Like how did our little planet produce so much stuff to reach the sun?
Produce all that. Well, okay, now going backwards, it's the photosynthesis that gave us that. The planet didn't do it. Life gave us that. If you don't develop photosynthesis, now we are, admittedly, we go into space, right? We have satellites going there. We just trip around the moon. We've been to Mars.
Or they go to a studio. Or they go to a studio. Stanley Kubrick, right? He filmed it before, so.
It still takes energy to do that. To maintain entropy, okay? Because entropy is the tendency to chaos, right?
Yep.
It's the second law of thermodynamics. And let me assure you, in 13.8 billion years, it's the heavyweight champion of the universe, undefeated. Everything tends to decay. So in order just to make civilization continue to go every day, we burn a 5,500 mile long coal train to maintain it. That's not growth. If that train derails, no electricity, no refrigeration, no transportation. We're dependent on it every day. It won't last, people. We have to get to back to nuclear fission. People don't need me to tell them to develop nuclear fusion. We're already doing that. But we need to support it conceptually. We need to understand it. Well, nuclear fusion is the only thing ever that will get us off the fossil fuel.
And you were talking about, like,
that's what we need to do.
In the book I was reading, and you were talking about what the size of a marble in this contained unit. I can't remember what you called it. Could like produce enough energy that would like burn for like weeks or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, exactly. So the concept is right. Exactly. And so what it does is just compares the energy content. And people are mistaken the idea about energy. Energy has to either produce or be converted to usable work. Let's say I can tell this with you gentlemen, we have a good energy. I just know that. If I were there, we'd be yucking it up, backslapping, high-fiving, all that, right? We have a good energy.
I never do any of that stuff. Don't assume that I would do that. I would stand there with my arms crossed and make everybody know.
Your co-host and I would.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so we have a good energy. But you know what? That energy doesn't drive a car or fly a rocket ship. So when people talk about energy, they just assume that energy makes the world go around. It doesn't. It has to be converted into useful energy. And so normally they compare to coal or something like that it's known we can extract this much work out of coal. So you have a barrel or multi barrels of oil. And again, this all gives us heat. It's the heat that we use to boil water, and the water turns a steam turbine. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. A pellet of uranium releases that same amount of energy and heat. Does that make sense then? So you're equating how much work energy you can extract out of a pellet of uranium compared to multi-barrels of oil. That's what the difference is. And uranium is abundant.
Did you ever hear of Stanley Meyer? He's the guy. He's the guy who supposedly created a fuel, turned water into fuel. He made like a water car and then supposedly disappeared and stuff. There's a documentary about it, and he figured out a way to make water a fuel. And I don't know the science behind it. I don't know if anybody does.
Well, I can tell you the science. I can tell you the science right now. So every few years, the water engine makes a comeback, and not because it works, but people forget about thermodynamics. So let me tell you this: your house is on fire. The fire engine comes down the street to your house. What's he put on your house? Water.
Yeah.
Water is not a fuel. Water is oxidized hydrogen. It's just simple. Nothing can be more simple. I'm telling you, thermodynamics, literally, not me saying this, is undefeated in 13.8 billion years. You can't get energy from nothing. You literally cannot. It's not allowable in the universe. It's not just here. It's everywhere in our universe. The universe is considered a closed system. And so, no, there's no extracting energy out of water. Okay, let's just say you have a lady come over to the house. You want to build a nice fire in your fireplace. You go down to the store, right? And you have that box of oak because you don't have enough wood. But now I need wood for this fire tonight. You have a box of nice oak split for you, goes in your fireplace, and next to it is a box of ashes. Which one do you buy?
Yeah, the box of.
You don't buy the ashes. It's already burned. The ashes are already burned.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have time for it.
You know what's funny? It's funny you say that.
That's spent carbon.
It's funny you say that.
Spent carbon.
Because I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson talk, and I don't follow him a lot. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. He kind of does his thing, but he said something that like always stuck out with me, and it kind of fits into this whole thing. Was he said that he didn't want to be cremated when he died. He wanted to be buried because he wants to break down and the bugs to eat him and the bird to eat the bugs, and then the bird to get eaten by the cat, and the cat, goes back to the earth and all this stuff. And I was like, that makes sense. And when you think about it, when you burn stuff, you sterilize, because when everything's burned to ash, is ash anything? Like you said, it's waste. It's done. It's gone.
It's
right?
waste. Right. It's done.
It can't create anything anymore.
Well,
so we're incinerating people. We cremate people, and that's just an incredible waste of energy, right? Wouldn't that be
not necessarily? In how we use our energy, that can't be considered a waste compared to what we're wasting. Honestly,
yeah.
Everything goes back to Earth. Those are all examples of entropy. Entropy wins no matter what. the world will eventually cool and the lights will go out. That's just simply going to happen.
Isn't that a
That's
crazy
in trillions
concept?
and trillions and trillions of years. It's frightening.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those things our mind's not equipped to even begin to understand, because the timescales are so great. But the idea that this expanding, what's happening is cooling. That's where we got the Big Bang. We rewound time. At some point, the Earth was denser, smaller, and much, much hotter. And now it's been expanding out. And as it cooled, the energy, this is Einstein's right, E equals mc squared. The energy turned into matter. Not all matter can be turned into energy, and all energy can be turned into matter, but they're in equivalence. And so that energy, as it cooled, it did two things. It allowed matter to form, quarks and fundamental particles, quarks and electrons, and that's what created our hydrogen first. All these other elements came after stars exploded and neutron stars collided. So all of our elements came later. The universe initially had hydrogen and some helium. So all of this matter that we're made of came much, much later. The hydrogen helium is what started everything. And the second thing it left is the cosmic background radiation. That's where we got the idea, because as the universe expands and all of this energy is redshifted, right, meaning that your wavelengths get longer. So the shorter wavelengths, like your cosmic rays and your gamma rays and your X-rays, are high energy. But as it expands, it's like the train that comes to you, right? That's the Doppler effect. Well, that's sort of the same thing happens in our universe to light. So when you compress a sound wave or a light wave, it blue shifts. But when you expand or is moving away from you, it red shifts.
You know,
and so that left the cosmic background radiation, and that's what we still see. So that's where the idea of the Big Bang came from. We're rewinding back time. Okay, if we have this signal that's reaching across the universe, at some point, that energy was much higher energy, and that's where it came from. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's awesome. When I'm listening to you talk, I think I just love this concept. It makes me want to write a movie about a dentist who talks about all this crazy like energy and space and the Big Bang. Because I went to the dentist this morning and I brought your book with me because I was kind of reading up in there, just kind of rereading some things I remembered, and I was finishing up the other night, and I was forgetting stuff. I wanted to take some notes, and so I was in there and I was talking to the hygienist who was cleaning my teeth and stuff. And we always talk, she'll be cleaning my teeth and she'll ask me a question. I'm like, oh, and then like I spit and I tell her we talk about our kids and just talk about crazy stuff. And I'm imagining, I'm like, man, Terry, like you're doing dental surgery, so are people completely out or are they awake? And if they're awake, you better be talking to these people about this stuff. Like you better. So did you know that back in photosynthesis and the energy and
I want to know why my dentist isn't this smart.
I know. I'm loving it. I'm like when do you retire? Like what happens next when you retire? Is this energy the what's the energy company that you have? I have it written down here.
Fusion Star Project.
Yeah. Is that your retirement plan to push forward with that?
No, actually, none of it is. I'm going to work until the day I die.
And this is it's awareness, right? The project.
It's awareness. Yes.
It's all about awareness.
Energy literacy.
Yeah.
Energy literacy. I actually got out of clinical dentistry after 26 years. And at 55 years old, I went back and did my radiology residency at 55. Yeah, it's cool. A 2.5-year hospital residency.
It's I have a friend who does radiology, and I'm telling you, we're still close now, but for that 2 years that he was in school, he told us all. He said, "Look, guys, I really want to do this, so I'm gonna have to make sacrifices." And he's like, and we're probably not going to talk. And man, he was right. But he buckled down, and he was talking to me. Sometimes he'd say all these. He had to know all the bones and all this stuff. So I kind of, not firsthand. I didn't do it, but I have a friend who did it, and
right.
I can. We just remember, damn, that is a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work. Yeah, dentistry is a lot of work, and radiology is a lot of work too. As AC/DC likes to say, and I love to quote, "It ain't as easy as it looks."
And it's not. Big balls.
How old are you, Terry?
I'm 65.
65. Yep. You sound young.
Yeah.
You sound young on the phone.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Thank you. I love this stuff so much. I'm trying to get some traction on my energy initiative and policy initiative. But I've written this book, and I just finished its companion book. It's titled Earth, the Goldilocks Planet. Because what you were mentioning earlier is exactly true. Winning the lottery is rare, and I don't know exactly the numbers are, but if you win it week after week after week, well, first of all, you're going to get arrested. But let's just say that you just kept winning it. That's the likelihood of all of these improbable events, not only just events, but the perfect timing for them to occur to create a planet that can host intelligent life. And I'm not sure how we are on time, because
we have about 5-10 minutes left, so we can
okay. I can talk forever. So let me talk.
Well, that's what we do. That's why we started a podcast.
No, pardon me.
That's why we started a podcast. Yeah. You know what? You should actually come on again if you want to talk some crazy stuff, because I wasn't sure how this whole thing was going to go, but.
Okay.
But we would love to. I mean, we can talk about anything. You can be the smart guy that when we sound like a bunch of idiots, we're like, hey, Terry.
No, you guys are doing great. I love this.
Tell us all the smart stuff, because we don't know what the hell we're doing over here. I love it.
Let's do. If we're running on time, let's make sure we whatever you want to talk about. Let's talk about that.
I'll make this story real quick, and
you don't have to rush.
There's an opportunity for another time.
Yeah, you don't have to rush, but
sure.
But we could do this again.
I'm going to be sensitive to it. Yeah. You guys have your own chi.
Yeah.
So here's the second breaking point. The second breaking point is the next critical thing in this ladder. So we have two things that have to happen in parallel. One, you have to have Mother Nature cooperating and giving you some way, somehow, some storable energy later. That later requires intelligence. That's where we came from, right?
Yeah.
So these have to happen. We imagine a MacGyver-like alien on some rocky barren planet. Where did that come from? No, those don't happen. Intelligence only will emerge if there's already an enriched environment in which to explore. DNA and evolution only care about one thing: reproductive success. They don't say, we're going to make an intelligent creature, he'll figure it out. That's not how it works. It's incremental. So you have to have a million things to play with already before intelligence will evolve. And eventually, we figured out how to control fire. About 1 million years ago, we captured lightning or burning forest or lava and lit something on fire. 400,000 years ago, it's documented, is about the earliest time. And this is a long time.
Yeah.
We learned to start fire. We have, this fire was deliberately and intentionally started. We have the remnants of Flint or whatever it was that began this fire. So 400,000 years ago. Okay. That right there separated. We were people then. Like, they were a little bit hairier, but they were like you and I, right? Those were people 400,000 years ago. And that was the advent of human technology right there. That human technology led to everything else incrementally. And I'll explain this very quickly. It gave us safety at night from predation. It allowed us to cook our food regularly, which makes the calories much more abundant. The world, civilization, life needs abundant and surplus energy reliably, unbroken. That's what we have. Photosynthesis feeds the ocean. Photosynthesis feeds the land. Everything is 100% dependent on photosynthesis today. We learned that you have a big fire, you wake up in the morning, and clay turned into pottery. Now with pottery, we can store things, we can carry water, we can containerize our food. This advanced civilization. Someday, some point, someone went out, hey, there's something shiny in the bottom of the fire pit. What is it? It's metal. When you heat certain rocks, you get metal. We had bronze. Later came iron. Later came steel. These aren't inventions, they're discoveries. And this is what gave us our technology. It was slow over tens of thousands of years, but look what it led to eventually. Little by little, from fire, then we learned to harness it. We would develop steam. We could use steam. Steam does work.
Yeah.
And then we created the steam engine once we discovered coal. Now, coal and oil were known, but they were a nuisance. They were a novelty. It wasn't until people learned, man, when I heat this up, it gets really hot. It gives me a hot flame. So coal is like burning a rock, basically. And so the steam engine came. And so the steam engine expanded our work. So it took a lot of the drudgery away from the human experience. And now we're burning fossil fuels and replacing human work with that. And that's obviously the Industrial Revolution. Look where we've come in 200 years. It wasn't the lack of intelligence. If you look at the back of my book, it has a picture of Newton right under an apple tree. And the question at the top was, why didn't Newton go to the moon? This is my own joke. And this shows you why people don't invite me to the party. He didn't have the energy. He didn't. If anybody could have gone to the moon, Newton could have. He didn't know he was sitting on the very energy that it takes a rocket ship to go to the moon, or actually to build a rocket ship.
So what
that
about
story I told early?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just
saying the story I told earlier about the 93 million mile coal train.
Yeah.
It took that much energy to get where we are today.
You know, it's
and we built on that slowly by slowly.
When you say this coal train, it's weird you say that, because years ago I had this dream, and this isn't a joke or anything. So you're looking at me like I was like going to tell a joke. I'm like, I'm not telling a joke. I had this dream. No, well, we're assholes, so we just say stupid stuff, and like you have all these points to make. So typically, if it was another asshole like us on the show as a guest, we would just bust their chops or whatever. So I don't want to interrupt the flow of this knowledge. And I think you have a lot to say, so it's cool. But I did have this dream, and when you said the train stretching out to the sun, I had this dream when it might have been 20 years ago. I don't even know how long ago it was, but. And I don't always have dreams, but when I do, I usually remember them. And there was this thing in the sky, and I always described it as a train. It was almost like the black round containers all locked together in the sky, like it was just hovering there, kind of like. And it went as far as I could see in the sky, and it was like a UFO or some thing flying in the sky. And I remember I was driving down the highway, and I was like, "What the hell is that thing?" And I kept hearing bang, pop, and all these noises and stuff. And every time it did, it was almost like when you whip a rope and the rope kind of ripples a little bit. It almost did that, and then it lost its float or whatever in the sky, and the one end of it started to fall, and then just like whipping a rope along the dirt road, it just kind of whips down and creates dust. It just crashed to the ground. Is that weird? That's what I thought about this dream I had.
It is.
When you said that whole thing, I was like, maybe it was a coal train to the sun.
Maybe it was a coal train.
Yeah, coal train. Is that name? But
coal train. Yeah, the great, right?
Yeah, but we're actually really close to the end here. So
I got you.
Are you at a good point to is there anything you want to pitch?
Point. Yes.
Is there anything you want to pitch? Or, yeah, I'd love to have you back on. So if there's more you want to talk about in the future, man, we've got some dates locked in, but. We've got some open dates. I'd have you back on.
I'd love to have him back on.
Yeah, we could do this again.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's do this. A couple of things. One, my Goldilocks book is coming out soon. It's with the editor right now, and I expect it'll be ready to be published. And I appreciate you sharing my book, and more importantly, my Fusion Star project. That's what's important to me. My intent is not to promote this. I literally have an idea that I believe has been underdeveloped. And I'm just trying to get my idea out into the space. It's not about making money for me. Honestly, it's not. Because it cost me $20,000 so far, and I haven't made that much money from it. So that's not why I'm doing it. So it's not a matter of promoting my book as much as it is to sharing the ideas in it. Because I know that not everybody enjoys that type of reading. But I think if you present it in a way, and I love this format because people will absorb this content this way probably better than reading it. And so how about when I get the Goldilocks book out published, because it has some more interesting stuff in it, and we can get into the Drake equation a little bit more, which is more of a formal answer to the Fermi paradox question. Maybe we can reschedule for that if you're interested in that.
Dude, yeah, I'd love to have you on. And honestly, if we want to talk about aliens, we invite you back on. I'll send you a text, say, hey,
for sure.
Terry, I know that you don't believe in aliens and you don't think they're real because they didn't develop in space. However, we're having an episode where we're going to talk about it, and we want you on there to tell us why we're wrong. It's a great. You guys are great dreamers, but the truth is, they didn't have fossil fuels in the sun. They weren't in the Goldilocks place. But yeah, dude, this was, I hope you got out what you wanted to. This was, it was really great to have you on. You're a cool dude. And, you guys, if you want to read a book, you have something you want to say, Josh?
No. Well, so Terry, I usually tell a joke at the end of, our podcast, and I want to know if you wanted to hang around for it. It's not that bad.
I do when 100% I do.
No, I'll give his final wrap up, and you can tell a joke.
All right,
His jokes suck. Just for the record, Terry, they suck.
All right, so these two aliens, they land in the Arizona desert near a gas station, and it's closed for the night. And they approach the gas pumps, and the younger alien addresses it, and he says, "Greetings, Earthling. We come in peace. Take us to your leader." Of course, the gas pump doesn't respond. The younger alien, he becomes kind of angry at the lack of response. And the older alien says, "I'd calm down if I were you." The younger alien, he ignores the warning and repeats his greeting again. And there's no response. He's pissed off at the gas pump's, haughty attitude. He draws his ray gun and he says, "Greetings, Earthling. We come in peace. Take us to your leader or I will fire." The older alien again warns his comrade and he says, "You probably don't want to do that. I really think that's going to make him mad." And he said, "Rubbish," says the younger cocky alien. He aims his weapon and he shoots him. And there's a huge explosion. A massive fireball roars towards him, and it blows the younger alien off his feet. It flies back a couple 100 yards. A little while passes, and when he finally regains his consciousness, he focuses his eyes, and there's the older alien standing over top of him, shaking his head. He says, "What a furious creature." He says, "He damn near killed me. How'd you know he's going to be so dangerous?" And the older alien, he leans over him and he places his feeler on his friend. And he says, "If there's one thing I've learned during my intergalactic travels, you never mess with a guy who can loop his penis over his shoulder and stick it in his ear."
And that, if nothing else, it was good bit of wisdom right there.
And there's a little bit
goes around your shoulder and it hooks in your ear.
There's a little bit of energy in there. A little bit of energy blew up the gas. I mean, it worked. It worked for the whole thing. So Terry,
he had an entire library of jokes. That was the most fitting, energetic joke he came up with.
It worked for this episode. Terry, we're pumped to have you on. We'll talk again. I have your information.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to check out his book, "Where Are All the Little Green Men?" and you can check out his organization. What's it again, Terry? I got it written down, but I got to pull it up here.
Thank you very much. Fusion Star Project.
Fusion Star Project.
And it can be reached at fusionstarproject.org. All one word, just fusionstarproject.org, and I'll take you to the website.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate. That's the one I want to help people understand energy, and it will run out. And there is a pathway that I create on my website to get us there. Human flourishing, human thriving for everybody.
Awesome. That's you heard it from the man himself, Terry Adair. Thank you again, Josh.
Thank you, Terry. It was great. Learned a lot tonight. And
hi, Josh. Thank you.
I can't wait to have you back on.
Great joke. And
looking forward to it.
We'll let you know when this airs. And Tat and Chat crew, we'll see you next Tuesday.
See ya.
Thank you very much. Good night, gentlemen.
See ya.
Help me stay